All right, let's just jump right in. We always think that to really change your life, you need some, I don't know, some massive, life-altering event, right? But what if the real secret to transformation isn't about these giant leaps at all? What if it's about tiny, almost invisible steps you take every single day? Well, that's exactly what we're going to dig into today, the incredible power of what's called the 1% rule.
I mean, this idea, it just completely flips the script on how we usually think about self-improvement. Instead of that massive, exhausting sprint we always try to do, it's all about a bunch of small, consistent steps. It's such a simple idea, but it's also so powerful that I thought, you know what? I gotta see if this actually works.
So yeah, I decided to put it to the test. For a whole month, 30 days, I committed to just this one simple rule. No huge gestures, no overwhelming life changes, just one small, tiny improvement every single day. So let's get into what actually happened.
All right, but before we get into my results, let's make sure we're all on the same page. Let's get crystal clear on what we're even talking about here. This is what I call the 1% promise. So what is this rule really, and what does it actually ask of us?
So the concept is it's beautifully simple. You got to forget about trying to become a totally new person overnight. That just doesn't work. The 1% rule is all about focusing on making one tiny, super manageable improvement each day. It's about adding things up, not starting a revolution.
And look, we're not talking about anything drastic here. Seriously, we're talking about things like maybe reading just 5 more pages than you did yesterday, or waking up 15 minutes earlier. That's it. Or even just walking an extra 1,000 steps. These changes are so small, so non-threatening, that your brain barely even notices the effort. And that, right there, is exactly why it works.
But wait a second. If this super gentle approach works so well, why are we also obsessed with the exact opposite? I mean, think about it. That brings us to a really important question. Why do our big, huge, ambitious goals seem to fail like almost every single time?
Does any of this sound familiar? Okay, that's it. Starting tomorrow, I'm going to study 10 hours a day. Or how about I'm waking up at 4 a.m. every single day, no exceptions. We get this sudden burst of motivation, right? And we decide we're going to change everything all at once. But there's a huge fundamental flaw in that all or nothing thinking.
And this is the classic pattern, isn't it? The idea of this massive life change, it's exciting, but the reality? It's usually a total crash and burn. We stick with it for what? A day? Maybe 2 if we're lucky. And then the sheer effort just becomes too much. It's unsustainable. And we fall right back into our old habits, and honestly, we end up feeling even worse than when we started.
So here's the most important part to get. The system itself is designed to fail. It's not about you lacking willpower. It's not your fault. It's that the whole strategy is built on just way too much pressure. It's like you're asking your mind and body to scale a vertical cliff face instead of just, finding a nice gentle path up the mountain.
Okay, so we've talked about why those huge goals usually don't work out. Now let's look at a better way and see it in action. It's time to walk you through my 30-day experiment with the 1% rule.
So week 1, honestly, the changes were pretty subtle. I noticed I had a little bit more focus, maybe a bit more energy, but nothing life-changing. But then, in week 2, something started to click, The discipline just felt easier, and I actually started feeling kind of proud of myself for these little wins. By week 3, wow, the results were totally visible. My productivity pretty much doubled, and my stress was way down. But it was that last week, week 4, where the real magic happened. It was a complete shift in my mindset.
And this right here is the secret. This is the key that unlocks the whole thing. Because every single step was so small, there was literally never a moment where I felt overwhelmed. There was no friction, no reason to quit. It was just easy to keep going. And that consistency, that's what creates the massive change.
And that consistency, it didn't just change my habits on the outside. It fundamentally changed how I thought on the inside. And that's the real transformation we're talking about here. It's all about building a brand new mindset.
I mean, sure, waking up a little earlier or reading a few extra pages, those were great, but they were just the side effects. The real, deep change was internal. It was like a complete rewiring of how I approach growth and getting better.
This comparison pretty much says it all. Before, my brain was stuck on this loop of, I need to change everything right now, which is just so overwhelming. Afterwards, it shifted to this quiet, powerful daily question. What's one small improvement I can make today? That simple question became like the new operating system for my brain. So what's the bottom line after 30 days? The results were crystal clear.
My focus was better, I had a solid routine going, my confidence was way up, and that feeling of just being lazy was gone, replaced by real consistency. It wasn't one big thing. It was like a waterfall of positive effects, each one building on the one before it.
And you know the best part? I really can't stress this enough. This whole transformation happened without any of the burnout, without the stress, without that feeling like you're constantly fighting an uphill battle. It was a huge change, but it came from a really gentle process.
All right, so what does all this mean for you, right now, listening to this? Let's bring it all home and figure out how you can find your first 1%.
If you take away just one thing from all of this, let it be this. We always wait around for motivation to strike us like lightning, but we have it completely backwards. Motivation doesn't create action. Action creates motivation. It's seeing that little bit of progress that gives you the fuel to take the next step.
And when you zoom out and look at the long term, the math is it's staggering. A 1% improvement every day doesn't just add up, it compounds. If you actually stick with that for 1 year, that tiny daily effort will create a version of you that you literally won't even recognize.
So really, the only question left is, what's your 1%? Don't put it off till tomorrow. Don't wait for the start of the week. Find one tiny thing you can do right now. Start today. That's it. Just 1%.